The early 20th century was a time of great innovation in transportation technology. People wanted to get from one place to another faster, easier, and more cheaply than ever before. And thanks to new inventions, they could do just that. Innovations like the automobile, airplane, and the good old-fashioned train helped people and businesses move their products and themselves all over the country and even around the world. For many Americans, trains were the most convenient way to travel. But while passenger trains are common today, this isn't always the case. In fact, there are quite a few towns across America that don't have any passenger rail service whatsoever. What these places do have in common is that at some point in the past, trains did run through them. But for whatever reason, the train tracks were taken up and the rails have never returned. Why did these railroads leave these towns behind? Let's find out. This is the ghost list of our videos. Today we're looking at the ghost rails, the train lines that once connected these communities to the rest of the country, but no longer do. Some of these routes might surprise you because they're well traveled today, but not in the way you think. So buckle up and hang on as we look at the rails that left these towns to rot. It's me. Welcome to my channel, where we explore the weird, wild, and wonderful world of America's railroads. Before we jump into today's video about ghost rails, I want to thank you all again for your support and for your continued viewership. We're slowly getting closer to a significant milestone, which is really exciting, but it's also a lot of work. You guys can help by hitting that subscribe button if you haven't already. So today we're going to be looking at a list compiled by the website Mental Floss. They listed 8 different rail lines that once ran trains but now don't. One of them actually did until recently, but now those tracks are abandoned. All of the routes on this list are what's called a main line. The term main line generally refers to a rail line that has regular passenger or freight service. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's the main line of a railroad, although that is sometimes the case. Rather, the term is used to distinguish routes with regular service from branch lines or spurs that connect to the main line and serve industry or a small number of stations. With that in mind, here are 8 passenger rail lines that once ran through towns across America, but you won't find trains on them anymore. If you notice any that I didn't mention in the video, let me know down below. Also, if you like stories like this, be sure to check out the source material. It's got a ton of great information, and there's a link in the description below. Number 8. The Rock Island, also known as the Rock Island, Chicago, and Alton Railway, was a railroad that ran between Chicago and the West Coast for almost 140 years. At its peak in the mid-1920s, the railroad boasted nearly 9,000 miles of track. It was bought out by the Burlington Northern Railroad in 1976 and eventually became part of BN. While the company still owns much of the former Rock Island right-of-way, it hasn't seen regular freight traffic in years, and most of it has been abandoned. And while it no longer operates, there are plans in the works to bring passenger trains back to parts of the former Rock Island route. That's right, it's set to become a reality soon. Well, maybe soon. It's currently slated for completion in December 2023. So yeah, that's soon. It'll be part of the Southwest Chief Route, which runs between Chicago and Los Angeles. No. 7. The New York, Ontario, and Western Railway. Now, the New York, Ontario, and Western Railway was a railroad that operated in upstate New York during the first half of the 20th century. It ran from New York City to the Canadian border, connecting several major cities along the way, including Albany, Binghamton, and Elmira. It was discontinued in 1957 due to declining ridership. And today, most of the right-of-way has been converted to rail trails used for hiking and biking. Number 6. The Wabash Railway. The Wabash Railway was a major east-west railroad in the early 20th century. It ran from St. Louis to Toledo, Ohio, passing through Indiana, Illinois, and Ohio. While the railroad itself no longer exists, its track lives on as part of the Norfolk Southern Railway and the Canadian National Railway. There are plans to reopen the line for passenger service, but so far, nothing concrete has been announced. No. 5. The Long Island Railroad. Believe it or not, the Long Island Railroad once ran passenger trains all the way out to the easternmost part of Long Island, New York. but that is not the case anymore. Back in the day, the railroad had two main terminals, one in Penn Station in New York City and the other in the town of Montauk. Trains ran regularly along the line until 1940, when the railroad decided to discontinue service east of the town of Sayville. Today, only freight trains run on the tracks, but there are plans in the works to restore passenger service to Number 4. The Boston and Maine. The Boston and Maine was once a major railroad in New England. It ran from Boston to points north, including Manchester, New Hampshire, and Portland, Maine. Passenger service was discontinued in 1975, but freight trains still run on the line today. There have been several proposals to restore passenger service, but none have come to fruition. Instead, the state of Maine invested in a different rail line, the Downeaster, which runs from Boston to Brunswick, Maine. No. 3. The Erie-Lackawanna. The Erie-Lackawanna Railway was a major railroad in the northeastern United States during the first half of the 20th century. It ran from Jersey City to Scranton, Pennsylvania, connecting several major cities along the way. In 1960, it merged with the Delaware, Lackawanna, and Western Railroad to form the Erie-Lackawanna Railway. The Erie-Lackawanna was plagued with financial problems throughout its history and ultimately went bankrupt in 1975. The line was purchased by Conrail, which eventually merged with the Pennsylvania Railroad to form Amtrak. While the Erie-Lackawanna name no longer exists, its track lives on as part of the Northeast Corridor. No. 2. The Reading. The Reading was a major railroad in the northeastern United States during the first half of the 20th century. It ran from Philadelphia to various destinations in Pennsylvania, including Allentown and Harrisburg. Passenger service was discontinued in 1963, but freight trains still run on the line today. There have been several proposals to restore passenger service, but none have come to fruition. No. 1. The New Haven. The New Haven was a major railroad in the northeastern United States during the first half of the 20th century. It ran from New York City to New Haven, Connecticut, with branches extending to various destinations in Connecticut and Rhode Island. In 1959, it merged with the New York, New Haven, and Hartford Railroad to form the Penn Central Transportation Company. The New Haven was plagued with financial problems throughout its history and ultimately went bankrupt in 1970. The line was purchased by Conrail, which eventually merged with the Pennsylvania Railroad to form Amtrak. While the New Haven name no longer exists, its track lives on as part of the Northeast Corridor. Those are just a few examples of the many railroads that once ran passenger trains but no longer do. These lines served important roles in the development of their respective regions and provided essential transportation services for millions of Americans. Unfortunately, due to a combination of factors, including competition from automobiles and air travel, these railroads were unable to remain financially viable and were eventually abandoned. However, there is hope that some of these lines may be restored in the future, as there has been growing interest in reviving passenger rail service in many parts of the United States. Who knows, maybe one day we'll see passenger trains running on these rails once again. That's all I've got for you today, you rail fans. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please remember to hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. You can follow me on social media. And if you want to send me an email, you can do so at the provided address. Until next time, I'm Josh from the channel. And remember, when you ride the rails, you never know where the journey will take you.